Okay, why do I talk about therians a bunch when I make some of my political takes? Why do I use them as examples in Snark? And it's not because I'm like obsessed. It's not because I'm like crazy or something. It's not because I'm like a gooner. It's none of that, which y'all might guess. Maybe I'm secretly obsessed or something. No. It's mainly because they kind of get on my mind because they are some of the biggest pushers of left-wing propaganda I've ever seen, which is why I make response videos to them. Because other people like Vosh and breadtubers, people online, leftist bullshit, like that regular crap gets refuted all the time. But therians never really get refuted. There's never really a meaningful response because their community's a whole fucking echo chamber. And there's not really any real opposition. And I try to be that opposition to the ideology in there. Because I think they're using theriotherapy, I think, as like a spoon to feed in woke ideology nobody needs. Because it's a bigoted, hateful ideology, if you actually look at it. That's why I make my responses to them. Because they are some of the biggest pushers of it that are never responded to. They do some of the most unfettered propaganda ever. That's why I do it. It's because I'm frankly disgusted. You're pushing to tell kids you shouldn't be comfortable how you are. And pushing nonsense like you can become a boy or a girl. Pushing that kind of bullshit is what pisses me off. It doesn't help anybody. It's never going to help anybody. It's fake suicidal empathy. That's all it is. You know, and it's because when they push these dumb takes, there's no real opposition. Unlike other left-wing areas. So that's why I make my response videos. I try to be a voice of reason to get some people maybe to listen. I'm trying to be a voice of reason in that echo chamber. That's why. Because they push it a lot. But they hide it. You know, that's why. You know, and why I mentioned Snark about, like, Gecko and crap is because, like, she is, like, legitimately, she and other types of people like that are legitimately some of the most irritating and annoying people ever. And they don't actually know anything about politics, which, admittedly, I do not know the most. I don't know everything. I'm not going to gloat and say I know everything. But they're so smug and self-righteous and crap. That's why I kind of make snark about them. Because they're just so self-righteous and smug. Just, ugh. You know. For example, I got really pissed at Soda Tab. One time I was promoting a transgender book, which I don't think you should be writing that crap and pushing it on anybody. Especially teens. Which I'm not saying ban it or have parents restrict it. I'm not saying that. That would be wrong. But I was also disgusted when Soda Tab promoted the Binder Company. That company's just making money off kids basically being forced into a just delusional belief they can become a boy or a girl. I'm disgusted somebody's making money off of that. I'm disgusted that was promoted. I Stitch videos, you know, that I made that video where that other Therian person, like, made a video saying it's bad if you're apolitical, which it isn't. Now she's made a video, like, saying Orange Man bad. Essentially, all her political knowledge just comes from Orange Man bad. And she even admitted to me a couple years ago she watched CNN. Like, she got CNN as a fucking source. Which I'm like, no shit. No shit, Charlotte. Probably watching Abby. I don't know if Abby Phillips is on CNN. I think she is. Or NBC. I don't know. Or maybe she watches MSNBC. But again, I respond to them because there's no real opposition to their left-wing bullshit. Because theriotherapy by itself is innocent and a hobby. But they usurp this innocent hobby with toxic ideology kids don't need. You need rationality. You need to be calm. You need to have a stable worldview. You cannot believe in subjective emotional nonsense like they do. Also, there was a video from Gecko I saw on Instagram that has some of the most fallacious arguments ever. I used AI to get the fallacies out for fun. Because here's the thing. Like, I did it mainly just for laughs, and I was shocked. You know, which I know that video is a couple months old, but I might post it. I might post the, like, screenshots, but yeah. You know. Now, most of them just make silly content I actually like and I'm fine with. And I actually like to try to reach out and become friendly with some of them. You know, that's kind of how I am. I'm not really friends with conservatives. Not really with anybody, to be honest, except online, but yeah. Now, so yeah, I respond to them because there's no real opposition and they use theriotherapy to push left-wing bullshit. That's why. Bye.